Well, we have it. This Sunday, the football game that all football fans rightfully deserve. Yes, it is the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. It is the pre AFC Championship game matchup that we are so blessed to be able to witness this Sunday. But what are we going to see? Which team has more to prove this Sunday? Now we can sit there and say Buffalo, who's 8-2, hasn't had a day off yet. They keep grinding and pounding out wins. They could be 9-1. They're 8-2. They're in a really good spot right now. Obviously, running away with the AFC East. No one's catching them. But when it comes down to being able to step up in the big moment and being able outside of the playoffs and being able to deliver for your home crowd, a decisive victory over the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs, which I don't know, some part of me feels like there needs to be an asterisk there, being 9-0 the way they've been playing this season. But they're going to Buffalo. Is Buffalo going to show up? Is Sean McDermott going to show up and he's going to did he put enough diesel fuel inside the snowplow? Is the snowplow going to run all over this Chiefs defense? I don't know. But I can tell you this, Josh Allen has played magnificent football this season, and he is the key reason why the Bills are where they are right now. Now juxtapose that with the Chiefs, and in the words of McFly, "You are my density." The Chiefs might just be the team of destiny this year. Think about it. When's the last time a team won a football game on a blocked field goal in the NFL? When was the last time that happened? Seriously, I'm asking. If anyone knows, please tell us. I cannot remember. But the Chiefs are 9-0, and they are not 9-0 because of Mahomes' magic. If anything, Mahomes has transposed his magic on Steve Spagnuolo and his crowned bald head on this defense. That he is just running out there, and the Chiefs defense is just eating people alive. They're like not the purple people eaters, but maybe the red anthill eaters. Maybe that's what they are. They're red ant eaters. They're just out there eating people alive. This defense is unstoppable. And if this team makes it undefeated through this season, if Mahomes doesn't wake up, it will be because of this defense. Now, this game is a wonderful game. It's an opportunity for us to rejoice together as football fans and watch a competent football game and wonder why in the hell it wasn't flexed, but we get to watch the Bengals and the Chargers Sunday night instead. This is our opportunity to revel in football again. Folks, we are back again, as usual, Thursday night, kicking down the doors to your weekend. This is Box Scores and Bourbon.
Look at the box scores.
Box scores
and Bourbon.
We check each other's box scores and scores online.
baseball, box scores.
So football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey.
Box scores and bourbon.
All right, Manny. Well, the $1 million question is, how come this game wasn't flexed to be the Sunday night game of the week? I don't understand. It was so close. It's 3 hours away. Just it's 2:25. You can make it 6:30. I don't.
Push it a little. I would love for the NFL to start doing something with the schedule where they just push a good game just a little bit later. Because if you've never paid attention to like America's Game of the Week, it starts at local time here at 2:30. It ends like 5:30, 5:45. Maybe if it's a slow game, it ends at 6. So it gives you like almost a whole nother hour before Sunday Night Football. If they just pushed it and they just went back to back, I feel like that would be just as good of a solution as flexing the teams. But I don't know why they didn't flex this game. The only thing I can think of is that they just keep holding on to the fact that Cincinnati is just on the brink of kind of figuring it out, and the Chargers are quietly but surely winning games. So they.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, look, if you're going to have a Sunday night game of the week, the Bengals Chargers is not a bad matchup at all.
No,
it's not.
But why would
the records are the opposite? What are you gonna say?
This should go all the way back to when they did the schedules. Like, why would you not start with the Bills Chiefs game as the prime game? It's always been a good
Because
matchup. Why
maybe
would
the
you not
Bills
have that there? And
Chiefs.
then if it just doesn't work out,
You
just
know, I
flex
mean,
it out if it's good.
we only had the last 4 years of football to tell us how great a matchup between the Bills and Chiefs are. Maybe that's not long enough. Maybe we need a like a longitudinal study of if the
Yeah,
Bills and Chiefs are going to make good football. I don't know. I don't know when we're going to decide this. Hopefully they
I
decide it
don't know.
soon because it would have been nice to see this in prime time. So
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be. We have
yeah,
been slacking off on our intros to the episode,
we
JB.
have been.
Grab your
What do you
drink
drink? Now
and
hold on.
cheers.
Hold on.
Oh. Let's give JB a second to get his whiskey poured. Mine is ready to go, nice and chilled on the rocks as per usual.
Cheers, cheers, my man.
Cheers, everyone.
Clink
Cheers.
clink. Yeah. But yeah,
Whew.
seriously, I want to hear what your take is on this. You know, how well do you think well, who do you think comes out on top of this game? And why do you think they're
Mm.
going to come out on top?
It's I don't have a rationale for it, but I think the Chiefs find a way to win this game. And all the previous stats say otherwise. They've been winning close games and winning games they shouldn't have been winning, including
Mhm.
figuring out a way to block a kick to win the game. And it's not the first game they've stolen from the grasp of defeat to stay
Yeah.
undefeated. And not only that, but if you look at their previous matchups, Josh Allen is 3-1 against the Mahomes led Chiefs, and Mahomes is 3-0 in the playoffs.
Mhm.
So everything points to the fact that the Bills should be giving the Chiefs their first loss of the year. That
Yeah.
being said, because everything points to the Bills being the team that should probably win this game, is why I have to think that the Chiefs are going to find a way to win this game once again and move on to 10-0 for no
Yeah.
logical reason whatsoever besides them being the Chiefs. And whenever you're that good, you just
Yeah.
find a way to win no matter how it comes. If you're dominating in the fashion that the Chiefs are dominating, you just find a way to win. And most of the time, it won't
Yeah.
make sense. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
I got.
Yeah, it's hard to go against the you know McFly mantra. You know, you are my density, and I honestly think that I mean the Chiefs are a team of destiny. I remember the year the Saints won the Super Bowl. There was a game against the Redskins, and they were the Redskins then, so it's not racist. And they the Redskins were driving. It was the end of the game. I believe it was the Skins, and I forgot who. Maybe it was Roman Harper. I can't remember who it was, but they came up from behind one of the receivers, knocked the ball out, intercepted the fumble, and ran it back for a touchdown, and the Saints won the football game. And I remember when that was like week 12 of that season. And I remember thinking to myself, I think the Saints are going to win it all this year. This is a team of
Mhm.
destiny. And I believe that was the same season. I was like, something is special about this team. They just can't lose. They can't lose
Right.
at all. And I think they were 12
Hmm.
and 0 at the point. They end up going to 13 and 0, losing 3 in a row, which was kicked off by your Dallas Schmal boys, you know, beating them in Dallas. And so they ended up going 13 and 3, I think it was at the end of the season. But it was that block kick, blocking a field goal in the NFL to win the football game. I can't remember. I seriously cannot remember the last time I've seen that in an NFL football game where the game ends on a blocked field goal. I know games end on a shanked field goal, a field goal that
Hmm.
falls short, a muffed kick, but not a blocked field goal. So
No.
it's it just it's like maybe this is the team. But I said last week, you asked me, What are the Chiefs' best chances of losing at all this season with the remaining schedule? And I said Buffalo, and I believe I said the Chargers. Either the
Yep.
Chargers or the Steelers, whichever one. I think it was the Chargers, though. But I said Buffalo for sure. I said Buffalo is going to give them their best shot at losing their first game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I still believe wholeheartedly Buffalo comes out on top of this game. Buffalo has shown so much that they have been able. Now, the the problem and the blessing in this is that Sean McDermott, he is well known for his Bills teams to start off slow in the first quarter, maybe end up behind in the first half because they allow the
Mm-hmm.
opponent to get about 3 drives. You get 3 drives to figure it out, and then we're going to set our scheme, and then nothing's changing. And so, um, being able to, because they almost came back, the the Bills almost was it that Texans game that they lost, and they
I
were
think
down,
so.
yeah, and they lost by what 4 or 5, I think it was. They had
Something
that
like that.
stupid trick play that failed right in their face. Um, but it was I honestly think this is the Bills' opportunity to put um, a loss into a losing feather in the hat of the Chiefs, pun intended. And it's this is I'm excited to see the game because, like I said, Sean McDermott he's known to uh, start slow and let the defense adapt to what the offense is going to throw at them, and then they really come out hot in the second half. Unless Mahomes figures it out all of a sudden and just plays super hot football, um,
Yeah,
I think this is a game
which
that
is
the
always
Chiefs.
likely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think this is a game the Bills come out on top, and it's going to be important too because if I was talking to a guy about this today, if you're the Chiefs, think about this. If you're the Chiefs, all it takes is one really good football team to tear you down, to bring you down. That's it. Just one football team. And the best football teams play in February. And
Yep.
so in January and February, those are the best teams you're going to play all year. And if you're Kansas City, your best shot at returning to Lombardi land is if you have the number one seed and you host only 2 playoff games and you host them and at home, and then you get to to chase your third title. But I can
Yeah.
say the same thing for Buffalo. Buffalo would love to be able. Buffalo's got nothing at stake at the AFC East now. They've already won that division. Just
Yeah.
call it. It's theirs. No one's coming close. I don't even know why the other three are still playing. They're not even going to make the playoffs. None of them. So, but just Buffalo's got that locked up. What they now need to look at is not just a high seeding. They need to look at getting the number one seed because there's a chance the Chiefs, if they lose games, they won't lose more than 2 this year. They won't lose more than 2 if they lose that many. But Buffalo's got
Mm-hmm.
to start they got to put that L um, in the Chiefs
Start
record
taking them
column.
out at the knees slowly.
Yeah, and just in case they each end up with 2 losses at the end of the season, Bills have that head to head. They get that number
Yep.
one seed. So because it will come down to the Bills and Chiefs at the end here. The Bills and Chiefs will
Mm-hmm.
come down to the 1 and 2 seed between those two. And I think I feel like it is more imperative than most seasons that whoever has number one seed, they're gonna come out in way better shape.
True. And we've sat here before. I know I've sat here before and had the stance that I don't necessarily like whenever teams go undefeated because there's too much pressure to keep that going. And I've always believed in a team being better off when they figure out how to lose, because you need to know what you have in your players as far as resilience. I would rather see a team go what do they have to be now? 18-0, 17-0, 17-0 to
18,
go undefeated
17 and 0.
17-0. I'd rather see a team go 16-1 just
Mhm.
so that you don't have that pressure of keeping the undefeated streak going and knowing how to bounce back from that loss. And if
Yeah.
including the fact that I know the Chiefs have old players that they've had their core seasoned players. Aaron Jones, Kelsey, Mahomes is now of a seasoned player, and they even have Hopkins now, which is seasoned. But they do have a key group of players that are young, and those
Mhm.
players need to be able to know how to bounce back from a loss and just get
Yeah.
that. I as much as I would love to see an undefeated team win the Super Bowl, it's so hard that sometimes it behooves the team to get that loss under your belt, just to get it over with,
Mhm.
just so you can focus
Yeah.
on growing as a team instead of having that looming shadow behind you of winning every single game because you're
Yeah.
chasing undefeatedness. Because nothing, you'll go down in the record books, sure. I
Yeah.
understand not many teams go
Mhm.
undefeated in the regular
Yeah.
season, but you don't get an additional asterisk or an additional trophy if you win the Super Bowl undefeated compared to
Yeah.
16-1 or 12-5.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the same Lombardi trophy at that point. So I just feel like there's so much to gain from having that bounce back from a loss that
Mhm.
I wouldn't, like you said, I think the Bills have more to win by winning that
Yeah.
game compared to the Chiefs winning
Mhm.
that game. I feel like the Chiefs have more to win by if they ended up losing the game, because then they lost to a good team. It wasn't the Raiders of last year that randomly pulled a win
Yeah. Mhm.
from
When the
them. It's a good
Broncos.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not some team like, oh crap, like again, like
Mhm.
the any given
Yeah.
Sunday any team can
Mhm.
beat you, sure, but
Yeah.
you if you lose to the Bills, at least you'll say, hey, it's the Bills. We always play competitive against them. We'll see them again in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
we'll get our revenge in that game. But right now, the Bills have to, like you said,
Mhm.
slowly be chopping away to get close to being able to steal that number one seed, because the Bills right now are set to win the division before or by the time we enter December, which is a couple weeks away, and that's crazy to think about. So their
Yeah.
really only motivation is one seed, or real. That's it, because the division is already there. You could say how far they're going to be up in the overall standings, but a one seed is
Mhm.
the only one that gets the bye week. So you're chasing the number one seed, or you're not really chasing anything at all. So they really need to start taking little bites out of it, so to make them
Yeah.
put themselves in the position to be able to have a chance at the conference if the Chiefs slip up another time.
Yeah. And if this ends up becoming a close game, as most of these Chiefs games have, the one exception being when they beat the Saints by 13, big whoop, everyone does. And my 6-year-old beat up on the Saints by double digits. Harrison Bucker is on the IR now, which is
Apparently.
news to the entire world, allegedly.
Hmm.
So they just signed a kicker off the Jets practice squad. So if this does come down to a close game, the Chiefs already don't have one, arguably one of the best kickers to ever play NFL football. He's out. So
Yeah.
and so this is gonna, is either uh, this like just to close it out. This is an opportunity for both of these teams to show their mettle. I mean, as if they haven't already. But
Yep.
whoever loses this game, this is a game where you can sit there and say, okay, this is tape I can study because I know I'm going to face this team come January. I'm going to
Yep.
face this team again. I know I'm
Yep.
playing them again. It's
Useful
happening.
useful tape.
Yeah, yeah. This is not just like you said, a loss to a bad football team that you're like, well, we just got to pick up the pieces. No, you lose, you get to study the same. Say this is what we need to do better next time against the team because we will play them again. It will
Yep.
happen. This will be the
Exactly.
AFC Championship matchup. This is what it is. It's the Bills and the Chiefs AFC Championship. This is the preview. The end. Oh, uh,
I
yeah.
might take a pause on that one, because as we wrap up talking about the Chiefs and the Bills, we can't forget about the Ravens, which is another key matchup that is happening
I'm
this
not
weekend. The
forgetting about
Ravens
the
are
Ravens.
playing the Steelers. I
But
know you're
what
not, but I don't think you're giving them enough credit.
What I need to see from the Ravens is I need to see Lamar Jackson play winning playoff football. He has not shown me that. He has not shown me that yet. He has not shown me that he has. I mean, that's his kryptonite. Is the playoffs. That I mean, that's what it
Hmm.
is. And
Hmm.
trust me, look, this is probably for me like the best I've seen Lamar Jackson play football ever. I've not seen
Yeah.
Lamar play better football. And I'm not discounting the Ravens at all. I'm saying, but if you want to look at trends, we want to look at what late January looks like. You think of the AFC in late January, the last four years, Buffalo, Kansas City. That's what you're thinking about. You're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that. Now, if
Yeah,
Baltimore makes that way in the picture, if Lamar ends up waking up, because I don't see the I the Ravens finishing with the 1 or 2 seed, so they're going to have to play an extra playoff game. They're going to have to play somebody in the playoffs, another good team, whoever that may be, and Lamar Jackson's going to have to show up. Now, I'll say,
they're
I
right now they're a wild card. The crazy thing to say, right, sit here and say is right now Baltimore is a wild card team
Mhm.
behind Pittsburgh.
I know,
Wait,
which it's not crazy to
so
me
that
because I picked Pittsburgh to win
you did,
the NFC
you,
North. So, I mean,
you
AFC
did,
North.
you did.
So, I need everyone to remember that. Thank you. Hold your applause, please, as you were. Yeah,
Well,
I
they haven't won it yet, so hold your applause.
they haven't won it yet, but I mean, hell, you know, uh, so but yeah, I would love to see, Lamar's going to Lamar in the regular season. He's going to ball no matter what, but when it come playoff time, what's that going to look like? I don't know. I don't know. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean
thinking about, yeah,
that is it. That is
yeah,
the yardstick that he's measured by nowadays. He has
yeah,
two MVPs,
hmm
the favorite to win MVP again this year, which is
yeah,
maybe a conversation for another day because I don't necessarily agree with that. But
yeah,
the yardstick is put on
yeah,
him for what are you going to do in the playoffs. So
yeah. Well, I can say my preseason NFL MVP pick took a hit when he's throwing 5 interceptions against a depleted Texans team. The
yeah,
only thing
yeah,
that is saving him is the fact that they won that football game. But
I don't think that's
let's
saving him.
yeah, let's get to tonight's game, which
Yes,
is
another great division game.
a great division game. It is this could very well be Kellen Moore's middle finger to the Dallas Cowboys, saying, "Hey, I told you I could coach an offense if you gave me competent pieces." So I um who do you got in this
Please tell
game?
me how the middle finger. How is it a middle finger to the Cowboys for him to beat the Commanders? How did you
Well,
drag the
because he's
Cowboys
doing
into
it in
this
Philly.
matchup?
He's doing this in Philly.
So
He's having great success in Philly. And look, anytime I can have a jab at the Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to take it. I mean,
I guess
that's just I mean,
it's
that's
just
just
so
going to happen.
unnecessary. It's so
I mean, it's not
unnecessary.
no, it's very necessary. It's extremely necessary. Yeah, I feel bad for the victim that we call Jerry Jones.
No,
And so if you subscribe to the Stephen A. Smith theories of life. Um, but yeah, who do you got and why?
I think the Eagles still pull it off. The Eagles are winners of 5 in a row. The
Mm-hmm.
Commanders have looked good. They've shown some weak spots in the games that they've been playing, and they've been having what I would consider an easier schedule. So it's not too surprising for being a competent team that they're 7-2. It is surprising that they're 7-2 because I had them winning half that amount by the end of the year.
You talking about
But
Washington?
they've had yeah,
Yeah, they're 7-3 right now. Yeah.
right. And I had them winning 4 games total, so jokes on me. But
Yes, it is.
they've played an easier schedule than I would say the Eagles. So I think this will be in a way a reality check for Washington that they'll probably stay in the game the entire
Yeah.
time. But the Eagles are
Yeah.
just more seasoned. They have more veteran players. They have more key star players across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And if it turns into a shootout, which I think it could easily turn into, who are you gonna trust that they can put up more points? A team that has Daniels, or a team that has Hurts and Barkley and AJ Brown and Smith and
Yeah.
Goddard and all these star players. Like I would, if I had to bank on a team being able to keep up and put up points, I would have to put that money on the Eagles, especially after how they looked against Dallas. I'm not even close to saying that Washington and Dallas are even close or in the same sentence when they come to defensive competency.
Yeah.
But the Eagles showed that they can put up points. That's my point. They can put up points
Yeah.
easily, and Washington is not necessarily dominating on the defensive side. They're doing great things on the offensive side. So
Yeah.
if it comes, like I said, if it turns into a shootout, I would have to trust the offense of the Eagles a little bit more. What about
Yeah.
you? What do you got?
I have the Eagles in this one.
Okay.
And for a few reasons that are more lean toward Washington. Washington is one Hail Mary fail away from being 6-4, and they are an inch away from an opportunity to be 8-2. So
Right.
and just looking at Cliff Kingsbury, um, when he was the head coach at Arizona, the first half of the season, those teams were on fire for those 3 years he was the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second half of the season, the offense just floundered. I mean, they could not find their footing what's at all. And so um, I wonder if this is going to be kind of the same thing as the OC for Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're going to see the same type of thing because it's not like Dan Quinn's going to step in and say, "No, run the offense this way." I mean, the dude's a defensive guy, so he's got his head in the game on the other side. So I want to see that, but then also, and Jaden Daniels only has two giveaways this season, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's I think it's a fumble and an interception that he has. No, it's two interceptions. That's what it is. He's got two interceptions this year. This is and they're playing in Philly, and Philly's
Yeah.
got. I mean, Philly's loaded, and if you and I know Washington's got Trey McLaren, and McLaren third in the NFL in receiving yards this year so far. But when you got but when you have Devontae and you have AJ and
Yep.
you have Goddard and you have Saquon in the backfield,
You have
Saquon,
Saquon doing reverse hurdles.
yeah, Saquon to me is the X factor because Washington
Yeah.
doesn't have much of a. They have a running game, but it's not Saquon. It's not, and
No.
just and on top of that, not even the least of it. Jalen's playing out of his mind this season. He's playing absolutely out of his mind football. And what has he got? 22 touchdowns right now, 5 interceptions. I mean, the dude, he is just absolutely lighting it up. And I was watching what was it, The Facility. I never seen that show before in my life, but oh, my goodness, it is a repository for stupidity. But it is um it they were talking about, well, what quarterback would you trust on this loaded Eagles team? I'm like, well, hell, I mean, I would probably trust Derek Carr on this loaded Eagles team. I mean, you got
Mm-hmm.
everybody. I mean, like, and so it's just, but it's not. It. I Nick Sirianni has done so much to this Eagles team that so much in a bad way that they're making people doubt Jalen Hurts' ability to play competent football. Jalen Hurts
That's
knows how
true.
to win. But Nick Sirianni has no idea how to win. With Shane Steichen not there, he has no idea what it means to finish strong. He doesn't know what that means. And, so I'm just, uh, I know it's one of those things where I'm looking at the Eagles winning this game. I'm looking at the Eagles um, coming on top of this one. I think Washington's got a good chance of still making the playoffs as a wild card, but I think
Are you
the
giving the
fairy
division to
tale.
the Eagles?
I am. I am.
Okay.
I'm giving the division to the Eagles. Yeah, I am. I think Washington's got a good chance of making the wild card, but I think the fantasy of them winning the NFC East, um, I think it honestly think it ended last week. It ended last week against the Steelers. And so but it's still a good football team. And
I mean, you have to consider what Washington has in front of them. Like I said, their schedule so far hasn't been something to write home about as far as difficulty. But
right.
after this game, Washington has Dallas, which at this point, anybody going up against Dallas is going to win that game. And then they have the
Yeah.
Titans. Then you have your Saints. They play the Eagles
Yeah.
again, and then the
Yeah.
Falcons, and they finish off Dallas. Like they could
Yeah.
easily. They're only even if they lost to the Eagles twice, depending on what the Eagles did, they could still win that division.
I'm not saying that they couldn't if they won. I'm just saying that this is gonna prove a lot to me. Um, More for the Eagles. If the Eagles can win tonight, then maybe Nick Sirianni's learned something from Ghost Past. Maybe maybe he's like, okay, you know what? I think I can figure out how to help my team finish strong.
Yeah,
Because after this, they'll be 8-2. And what their schedule is. Let me look ahead because I mean you're right. The Redskins don't really have that much of a schedule after this. They don't. The only team
no.
outside the Eagles that's even formidable is Atlanta. Um,
Hmm.
let's
Yeah,
see.
the Eagles have Washington, and then they have
So
the Rams, and then they have the
yeah,
Ravens, and they have a Panthers, Steelers,
mhm.
Washington again, Dallas, and New York. So I guess they both have kind of a easier
They.
stretch.
I mean,
There's
Washington
2 or 3
has the
games.
slightly easier schedule. I mean, you can
Hmm.
count the Rams as a team that you can't take for granted. They're playing at Baltimore, which that's not going to be easy. They're playing against Pittsburgh at home, and then they play
Washington
at
again.
Washington
Yep.
in Week 16. So,
Yep.
um, I mean, both teams are really set up for success. I honestly, I mean, I see both of them making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
It's
both
just one of
will.
those things where the Eagles win tonight. I think the Eagles take the division because by that point they have a game and a half over Washington. So
Yep.
I mean, it's not it but there's wild cards on both sides. Is Cliff Kingsbury going to continue to 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 coach competent offensive football in the second half of the season? And then on the other side, is Nick Sirianni going to be able to help the Eagles close out big? And that's it. I
Yep.
mean, that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to coaches. So the players have
That's
shown
true.
all they can. The players
That,
have played. They've shown. I think it's going to come down to 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 the OC on Washington, the head coach on Philly. That's what it's going to come down to. So
I think there's 2 or 3 games that are at a turning point for the teams in that in this week. That this game will define how their season is really going to go. Obviously, the Eagles Commanders, we've talked about how important that game is. The Baltimore Pittsburgh game is going to be super important, and then the game that the Chiefs and Buffalo game, obviously is going to be really significant in the conference, and then the Bengals and Chargers game. As much as we were dissing it for a second for the Kansas City Buffalo game not being flexed into that position. Both of those teams are fighting to be into the playoffs, so
yeah, mhm,
that is a very important
yeah,
game for both of them this week. So I think, I mean, we're in late November, so obviously all the games are going to matter. But it seems like a lot of the teams that are either fighting to get in or fighting to get
yeah.
higher seeds, we're at a very strong turning point, a crossroads for a lot of those teams that I just mentioned in week. What is it? Week 12? Is this week 12?
Week 11.
11. 11. Yeah, week 11.
Yeah.
So
So
it's going to be a good
yeah,
week for a lot of
yeah.
teams, and a lot of teams are going to
It
have
is.
a
Yeah,
big hole to dig out of.
yeah. So one more thing I wanted to. So I told you I teased you with a Dallas Cowboys take.
No, God.
And I want to get your thoughts on this. Okay. Say Jerry Jones has a moment of clarity and realizes we are not, I'm never going to win another ring. I'm never bringing another Lombardi trophy to Dallas in my lifetime. No matter if I'm cryogenically frozen and I mind read all my ideas to Steven long after I'm gone. Let's say Jerry Jones accepts this. Okay. What are the what do you think the chances are he says F it? I just want to put on the greatest reality TV show on turf. And Mike McCarthy's gone at the end of the season, and he calls Dion,
No.
I want you to coach the Dallas Cowboys. I want to give you a 10-year, $100 million contract. I want you to
Dang.
coach. And here's the clause: 10-year, 100 million, or until I die. So that whichever one comes first,
Whichever one's first.
I want you to coach the Dallas Cowboys. Um, what what do you say to that?
What do I say? Ah. There's so many caveats to your hypothetical because the likelihood of Jerry Jones saying, "You know what? I don't want to be the center of attention anymore. I want to give that platform to Dion." So unlikely. And I don't something inside me tells me that competent coaches, and at this point, considering what we're seeing out of Colorado and what Dion has done to any team that he's coached, I consider him a very competent coach. I don't think competent coaches want to deal with Jerry Jones being there, no matter how shape, fashion he is therein. I don't think Dion would want to be there. I don't think he would say yes to that deal. Is what I guess what I'm getting at. What I like, there's so many layers to this because I think Dion is going to want to bring in Shadoria Sander with him wherever he goes just to keep
Mhm.
his son protected. And
Yeah.
that adds a whole nother level of complexities to to that hypothetical you're giving.
Yeah.
In an ideal
Well,
world, I have nothing against it. I think Dion would be a good solution to the Dallas Cowboys as a culture that is kind of stuck in mud in the late '90s. But
mhm.
but besides that, I mean, it's so hard to put
Yeah.
myself in that position because it's almost too good to be true.
Yeah. That my so you just brought up something that I thought of earlier as well. I was talking to a guy and I said, wouldn't it be funny if for the second time in Aaron Rodgers' Hall of Fame career, that each team he played for, that team drafted his eventual successor. So let's say the Jets, okay, they finished with a top 10 pick. They need a new head coach at the end of the season. Let's say they're like, let's go back to the days of Broadway Joe and let's draft Saks Fifth Avenue Shador. Let's bring him in. And you just said you think Dion's going to want to go where Shador goes. Do
Right.
you think it's plausible that Dion becomes the next head coach of the New York Jets and Shador is the future quarterback of that team?
Honestly, that sounds like a match made in heaven. The li- the bright lights of New York, nobody could absorb light in the way that Deion Sanders
Mhm.
absorbs light. And there's
Yeah.
nowhere that has more lights than New York. I feel like that is just the perfect
Yeah.
situation for him. And the
Yeah.
owner is an owner that doesn't care about spending money. He's shown that he
Yeah.
loves spending money, so he could get any piece he wants. And then the owner kind of
Yeah.
takes a back seat and lets the organization run. That is what Dion,
Yeah.
I think, would want. I think
Yeah.
that honestly would make a lot of sense across the board. A quarterback, a head coach in New York, somebody that can handle the spotlight and the pressure of New York teams,
Yeah.
that would be ideal for Dion. I don't know if he would go to New York necessarily, but even as a football fan, I think that would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
I might, in a way, kind of cheer for the Jets a little bit because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's prime time. So live from New York, it's Sunday night football. And it's, here comes Dion rolling out the tunnel,
That
with
would be. It just makes
riding on
so much
Shador's
sense
shoulders.
that Dion would be the face of a New York team. Like it just makes a lot of sense.
It
He never
does.
fit. It never made sense for him to go to Colorado. It doesn't fit like the what Colorado necessarily stands for. New
Yeah.
York definitely fits his personality across the
Yeah.
board. Him and his son, I feel like, would thrive in New York. They would be the face of
Yeah.
everything in New York. It would be if they care about branding, they would be the greatest branding for both of them.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, there we go. That. Do you have anything else on the NFL side? Do you want to talk
No,
about Cincinnati Chargers
nope,
Sunday night? No.
nope.
Okay.
We're good. I think we're set for a great weekend. I've
Yeah.
been going through some depression lately, but I think I'm ready to buy into the NFL season as a football fan and
Yeah.
look away from anything that has to do with Dallas. And I think I'll enjoy the football season way more if I pretend like
Yeah.
Dallas isn't even playing anymore.
You're depressed. The Saints won, so they ruined their chance at a number one pick.
They-
I'm depressed. So I'm ready to get this 3-year rebuild on the run. I'm
Yeah,
ready to commence this dang thing. It's
me
gonna take
too.
3 years to do this. Let's let's do it. Let's do it. So
You and I both,
um
JB. We're on the rebuild mode, and I can't
well,
wait for it.
hopefully my franchise realizes that before yours does. And I don't think Jerry Jones understands what rebuild is, unless he's getting hamstring transplants to look older or younger. Remember that? I don't know if you ever
Younger.
seen that episode of Tales from the Crypt where the really
Nope.
old guy is attracted to the young broad, and um he's like he wants her so bad that he's rich, he's loaded, he ends up finding this really hunky beach bodybuilder, and he ends up starting to like transplant his pieces of the body from the bulky man to
No.
him until eventually he
What the
becomes the
hell?
bulky man. And at the end of
No.
the episode, the broad ends up choosing the new old man. So it's yeah, it's one of my favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Anyway, let's transition. Let's do some quick NBA talk.
Oh, let's talk NBA. Welcome to the 2024-25 NBA season, everyone. We kept you waiting long enough.
Where the
We
NBA
are,
Cup is still a thing and it's as dumb
yep,
as ever. Yeah.
that is. I heard a commercial for the NBA Cup, and they said there's 30 teams because they didn't introduce it right away. They said there's 30 teams. I'm like, are they talking NBA? And there's 8 teams per division. I'm like, well, that's not the NBA. We're talking about the NBA Cup. I'm like, what the? That's still a thing?
So stupid. So absolutely stupid. And you can sit there and
It
say,
is
well,
still a thing.
Manny, JB, isn't that just the All Star game? Well, no, it's not. It's dumber than that. So imagine
Yeah.
a world where there are co-champions. Imagine if the NBA had a BCS system and there were co-champions. That's what this is. And it's
Yep.
just as dumb. It's so stupid. It's so incredibly dumb.
Let us remind you that it tells you nothing about the season because last year the Lakers were the NBA Cup champions and
Yeah.
they didn't do squat in the playoffs whatsoever. So
Hey, I mean, hey, look,
don't
they look like maybe they would do something. Maybe they would.
this year?
No, last year. Maybe they would do
Oh, last
something.
year. Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
But they
Sneak
didn't.
into the what do they call that now? The sudden death whatever
It's
matchup
the
now? What?
play-in, the play-in
The play-in,
tournament.
that's right.
So
That's
you have
right.
the NBA Cup. You have the NBA Cup. You have the play-in tournament. Then you have the playoffs. Yeah,
And don't forget the All-Star break, which is a whole nother thing now. But
the NBA
let's
Cup
talk
should be the
about
All-Star break.
speaking of the Lakers, let's talk about the Lakers.
Yeah,
Currently, the Lakers are 6th in the Western Conference. And JJ Redick seems to have a thing or two going with that team. But we don't want to talk about their record. We want to talk about their players. Primarily the junior of the sorts, that being Bronny Jr. JB, you
scrawny
have some thoughts
brawny.
on him?
Yeah,
Yes. You have some thoughts on him?
Oh, good lord, I got a plethora of pinata of thoughts on this man, or this child, this man child. Um, my goodness, he gets demoted because he's nowhere near good enough to play in the NBA. I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
sure when he's ever going to be good enough to play in the NBA. And he goes to the G League and says, "You know what? I have an idea. I'm not traveling with you, goobers. I'm just going to play home games, and so I'll see you when you get back." What? I thought the G League was there to help you get better. I thought exposure to 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 a to the sport at the next level was what the whole point of the G League was for. But he's out there acting like he's Roger Clemens telling the Astros, "I'm only going to pitch in home games." So like what? Who are you? Who are you? I don't what? I'm not traveling with you. I'm just going to stay at home. You'll see me at home games. Now, I get it. Look, the G League is it's it's just ridiculous on its face as it is. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have a G League, well, then stop drafting guys first year out of college. Just make a rule where they have to play 3 years in college and then you draft them. I don't know. I mean, that completely defeats. It's so ridiculously. It's just dumb. It's really dumb.
Yep.
But
Yep.
what's worse is you have this scrawny brawny going out there saying that I'm only going to play home games. What? What is this? I thought you're trying to get better. I thought you're trying to be a better basketball player. What do you what what is the point of you going to a developmental league if you refuse to be developed half the time? What I don't
You
It's
know
so
what?
stupid.
It blows my mind, and we called this early on that there was no actual benefit, and he wasn't ready for him for. He
No.
should have been at the G League at the beginning of the season, but they wanted to give LeBron James his moment and go out. They had a whole ovation whenever they stepped onto the court at the same time. Bravo, LeBron! Yeah, you should have waited. I get the significance of it, but you should have waited until your son was,
Yeah.
adequate at playing at the NBA level, so it wasn't just a weird, awkward thing whenever he
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
sent down to the G League because he wasn't keeping up. But I saw this thing that was crazy to me. I think it was I saw it today. Out of the last four 50 number 55th overall draft players, there was three of them got a two-way contract, which means you pretty much
Mhm.
designated to the G League and they call for you to be
Yeah.
they reserve the right to call you up to the NBA. One
Mhm.
of them uh got like a minimum contract in the NBA, and then there was Bronny with a $4.4 million
Yeah.
sign-on bonus to play half of the G League
Mhm.
basketball game. It
Yeah.
blew my mind when I saw how much he was making to be a part-time player in the minor league. Could you imagine that ever happening in baseball? You sign That's the equivalent of signing a baseball player to your double A and paying him $100 million in the double A.
Yeah. And then hey, but you only have to earn that half the time. Like,
Right. Don't worry about travel.
yeah.
It's crazy. But let's talk about what where we are right now in the NBA world. I will call out the Western Conference first, the top 6, and you tell me if there's some surprises, if they're fakes or if they're reals. So we have the Thunder number 1, Warriors 2, the Suns 3, the Nuggets 4th, the Rockets 5th, and the Lakers 6th. Is there any pretenders, contenders, or surprises
You talking about in the Western
in the
Conference?
Western? Yeah.
Out of those 6 teams, I think the one team that surprises me, but doesn't really surprise me because there was a lot of chatter in the offseason about how this team, especially coming out of last season, was if there was a team that was going to make a jump, it would be them. Houston. Um,
Yeah.
Houston being 8-4 right now. I'm not going to sit there and say that they're phonies. I just I want to see more from them. But especially from just last year, that the chatter was, just the culture of the Houston Rockets was they were building a long term winner. And I don't know if people expected the. I mean, look, we're only 12 games into this season, but you know, I it's one of those things where if you're 8-4 at the beginning of the season, we've seen it so many times where what you do in the beginning of the season is going to play into quite a bit at the end of the season. So the wins you can
Mm-hmm.
rack up at the beginning of the seasons can do nothing but help you toward the end. So the fact that they've won 67% of their games already, I don't know if honestly don't think this is going to hold. Um, uh, and maybe it will. I honestly have no idea. But out of those 6 teams, um, just on the surface, Houston stands out to me the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah. The one that stands out to me the most, which I almost feel disrespectful for saying it, is the Warriors, because the Warriors looked like they were just cruising to letting Curry retire with the team and before they did a whole rebuild. But
Mm-hmm.
they, in my eyes, pulled out a young core out of nowhere that is making
Yeah,
them competitive, and they're playing really good basketball lately.
yeah,
Uh, and that kind of ties into something else that we wanted to talk about, which was the fact the Mavericks playing the Warriors recently in
Mm-hmm.
Thompson's homecoming, which in my eyes was a very I think a very graceful way to welcome back a player that brought championships to your
Yeah,
organization. Um,
absolutely.
I hate whenever there's some like salty feelings because a player, even whenever it's out of the player's hands to go sign to play with a different team. I hate when there's salty feelings between the fans, the organization, and the new player. And the Warriors just did such a good job at giving Clay Thompson the moment that he deserved for everything that he
Yeah,
did to that organization.
yeah,
So that's my tie in between the Dallas Mavericks, which is my surprise team for them being 12th right now, which is I did not expect considering how good of basketball they are also playing. But your thoughts
yeah.
on the Thompson thing,
On what?
on the Thompson, the Clay Thompson thing?
Yeah, I love how loose Clay looked in that game. Clay had fun. He had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fun. I remember those. There was a ton of talk going into that game, and I know it was one of those. It was probably outside of LeBron and Bronny, cosplaying as the Griffies at the beginning of the season. Uh, it was uh, it was nice to be able to see Clay just have fun out there.
Yep.
When he hits his threes, and he's got his little shimmy, and I mean, he's just having a great time out there. And you mentioned Dallas 12th. You know, it, it's like you said last week. The NBA season, NHL season, it has to percolate. You got
Mm-hmm.
to let it sit there and just let it ferment for a little bit longer because um, there are so many teams that are in middle of the pack
Yep.
that it's just it's really hard to tell. And I don't see Dallas being this bad. Dallas could very well turn it up and no one no one has proven better at making adjustments in season than Jason Kidd. And so I'm not worried at all about Dallas's chances, about their standings
Mm-mm.
at 5-6, being 12th right now. The difference between them and the fifth seed is 3 games.
Yeah.
So that's not insurmountable. I mean, like I said, we're talking about the the first 3 weeks of the season. So
Yep.
I mean, there's
Don't
and I
panic.
like
Don't panic, Dallas
yeah,
fans. Don't panic is
yeah,
what we're getting at.
yeah. He said not to panic. So it's I'm not worried about Dallas at all. Like I said, I still have Dallas, pulling this out, outside of Oklahoma City. I have Dallas pulling this out to be the eventual Western Conference champion. I
Oh
do.
wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I do. Let's go to
I
the
do.
Eastern Conference.
Yeah. So on the Eastern Conference side, we have the Cavaliers being undefeated at 13-0, and then Celtics, Magic, Knicks, Pacers, and rounding off the top six, the Bulls.
Yeah. Again, like I said, middle of the pack season. I mean, this is such weak sauce come and every time I look at the Eastern Conference, I'm like, is this still a conference? Like, are they even playing on the same level as the Western Conference? Like, it's always the Western Conference always seems so stacked, and the
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Conference just looks so sad. It looks so sad. I it's just I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know, I don't know what surprises me more: the Cavs 13-0, or that there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5-win teams right now.
Yeah,
We know what does surprise me. Detroit has 5 wins. I mean, that surprises me. So
that's
I'm surprised
already
they won
double
that
their
many.
last year's,
Yeah, I mean, good on them. They're doing good things in
right?
Detroit, but uh, it's just, um, I just need more time. I need more time.
Yeah,
I
no.
like what Orlando's doing. Orlando
Yeah, you liked it this last year.
started off really slow. They're one game over 500, but they won 4 straight. So, it's nothing like winning 13 in a row, but I have last year the Magic were my team last year. Like
Yep.
when we picked the team outside of our fave, which team are we watching? I'm still looking at Orlando. I'm looking at
Hmm.
Orlando. I want to see Orlando do something. And not just do something. I want them to shake up the Eastern Conference. I want them
Yeah.
to.
It would
So
be a good season if the Magic are actually competitive. Here's what I'll have to say. My biggest my biggest take right now, even though they're 13-0, I think the Cavaliers are the biggest pretenders considering the record right now. I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think they'll fall
who's the
completely out
biggest
of it.
pretenders?
The Cavaliers.
The Cavs. Yeah.
Yeah. At 13-0, I get they're impressive, but they don't have major pieces. They don't have anything major going on. I think they're just getting, if I'm being disrespectful, I'm sorry. I think they're getting lucky breaks in their 13-0 start to the season, and I don't see
Yeah.
them being higher than the 4 seed by the time the season comes and goes. I think that
Yeah.
this conference is still the Celtics to lose, and I
Mhm.
think just like last year, they're taking their time, not overworking their players because they know that they're pretty much a lock
Yeah.
already to make the playoffs, and they just have to
Yeah.
preserve their players for that. So the biggest shock to me is the Cavaliers, and the biggest pretenders at the same time are the Cavaliers.
Yeah. I just, we talk about you just said the Cavs are the biggest pretender so far, the 13-0, but like I said, at the beginning of the season, this is as many wins as you can pile up right now. That's what's going to separate you. And having what it's a 3-win difference
Yep.
right now that they have. So, but between them and Boston, um, this is, um, and of course, Boston's having trouble at home. Of course, this is a tale as old as time. They can never win at home. I don't effing understand this. How I Boston the the Boston Celtics are the only team in the universe that 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 don't understand that playing at home is a good thing. This is a
Yeah,
good thing that you get to play at home. Just win at home. Why is
that's it.
this?
That's all you got.
This will always boggle my mind. I just like if this was hockey, I get it. I've said I'm I'm infamous for saying home court advantage does home ice advantage does not exist in hockey. It just doesn't
Mhm.
because it's too fast paced. But it's a freaking basketball game. It's not changing so much from shot to shot that you have no idea where the ball is. You're playing at home. Effing take advantage of it. I don't understand this whatsoever. But Cleveland being this way, Donovan Mitchell, he's really playing out of his mind right now for Cleveland. And
He is.
so, and this is what you want. And it's not Cleveland, I think isn't Cleveland like one of the oldest teams in the league? Like I
Overall in
just
history
no, right now,
or like age-wise? Oh, I don't know. Like
like
their
age
overall
wise, like this season,
yeah,
age
I don't know.
wise. So because Donovan was 28 right now. So this is and this is the opposite of Houston. Houston's a young team. And so I just and Jalen Green, hey, props to him. Let's hope he continues to figure it out. But Cleveland, I know they're 13-0. It's not going to last. They're not going to go 62-0, whatever. How many games they play, it's not going to
82,
happen.
82 and 0. They're not going to beat the
82-0,
Warriors
whatever.
record.
Um, but being able to have to pile up this many wins now, it's important. It's important, and
Yeah.
so it will make a difference. They may end up just being the 4 seed, like you said, but it makes it a lot easier path to the 4 seed if you're
Yep.
if you're if you're stacking up wins in the beginning of the season.
That's true. My final take on this, and I'll wrap it all back around to last week when I said we're letting teams ferment and curdle and the filth drop to the bottom. One of the reasons that I was saying that is because there was a big hype behind the fact that the Nets, as of last week, when we recorded this same episode, the Nets were sitting third in the Eastern Conference. And in 1 week, they have dropped all the way down to eighth, which goes
Oh
to
no.
show how much you need to pay attention and wait for the good teams to figure themselves out,
Yeah.
because I don't have major expectations for the Nets. And in a week, they've dropped down
Yeah.
five rankings. So that just goes to show,
Yeah.
just be patient with the NBA
Mhm.
season. But we will be here to judge every single one of these teams as the season goes along.
Absolutely. And it starts now because when you look at the Spurs going back to the Western Conference being 6-6, and all prayers to Pop, hopefully
Yep.
he recovers well. But dude, Wimby, I mean this dude is just he is putting on a show right now. Putting
Hmm.
on a show. And it's really fun to see because you have Wimby, you have Jalen Green, you have Banchero, you have these guys that are just like the next generation, and
Yep.
and they're proving to 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 their to the teams who took a shot on them. I I am going to do everything I can to bring you to the promised land. It will
Yeah.
happen. It will.
Yep.
And so
Wemby
props to
dropping a
Wimby.
50 piece? 50?
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
have a question for you. When you're your nickname is the Alien, and you're 7'5", and your designated position is supposed to be around the rim, how do you defend individual of that size making 5 3-pointers? You can't
Oh, I
even.
know. I know. I know. You don't. You you
You
don't.
know.
You you just have to swallow it. You have to swallow it because I mean, his last 3 games, it's absolutely bonkers. It's
Yeah.
bonkers. He's made 20, he is shooting 54% beyond the three-point line in his last 3 contests. That's insane. That's
Yeah.
an insane number. I mean, that's Shaquille's career free throw percentage, like 54%. So this is, what I do find funny is that they said that Wimby's 7'5", but he's now listed at 7'3" after being listed at 7'4". I I mean I know this dude's Benjamin Button and he's just regressing in height. I have no idea how this man fluctuates his height by inches on a season by season basis. But I mean he's proven it's possible.
I guess
Is I mean this is the most egregious um uh height scandal since they said Drew Brees was 6 foot and they said it's only because he was wearing lifts in his shoes at the combine. So that's not true, but I just it is fun watching the younger generation just really come to
yeah.
life here. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep. To wrap up our NBA segment, I think my closing thoughts are just that we are finally at a spot in the NBA in a good season where we have all the young talent figuring out how they're going to play, and it's going to be a season dominate. I think it's going to be a
Mhm.
season dominated by the young talent that from
Yeah.
this year's rookies, last year's rookies, they're finally going to figure it out and start showing what they're made out of, and it's going to make it an exciting overall season where there might be a few teams that make it to the playoffs that you're not even tracking right now, including a team like the Spurs, which right now are not out of it. Of course not, but nobody would expect them to be anywhere close to the playoffs this year. But that is just I where I feel the NBA is currently.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to take some time to percolate.
Yep.
And we need to give it time. This is why I'm not talking about the NHL yet. I'm going to give you all my takes on on this NHL season. Trust me, they're going to come full throttle. They will come, but just not yet. And if anything is
Yep.
proven, the reason why is the discussion we just had, and it's just seeing the records now. The season is so young, and it's going to go
Yep.
so long. That's what she said.
Yep.
So it just let it play out. Um, it will get better. That's what he said. And, just, uh, it, uh, but I am excited because in both the NBA and the NHL, there's some really fun developments happening. And like I said, like a few weeks ago, the opportunity to be able to breathe life into a new season of a new sports season's storylines. It's I mean to me, and I can speak for Manny. There's nothing more exciting. So
Yes.
let's get to everyone's favorite segment, the Fix of Six.
JB, I will kick things off today
Yes.
on your weekly fix of six. On Manny's number 3 fix of six. All I'm going to say is thanks a lot, Miami Dolphins. The Florida football teams, plural, were 0 and 11 going into Monday night, and all the Dolphins had to do was lose a game to make it the first time in history that Florida teams went unwinnable over a football week. They had 3 teams in the FCS lose, 6 teams in the FBS lose. The 2 teams, the Jaguars and the Buccaneers, both lost on Sunday, and then the Dolphins had to go show up and take anything good from us. JB, you and I sit here and talk regularly about how we like seeing like historical moments happen in sports. This would have been one of them. This
Yeah.
really would have been one of them.
Hmm.
Being able to say the Florida teams all went
Yeah.
without being able to pull out a win would have been a cool moment to be able to talk
Yeah.
about. But no,
No.
another reason for me to
No.
dislike the Dolphins. Thanks, Dolphins.
No. And this is after I read an article on Chris Shula earning his keep as a defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. And what does he go? He goes and ruins it. He just ruins it.
Yes, exactly. On Manny's number 2 fix of six. What happened, FSU? I'm sticking to the Florida great state of Florida. Last season you finished 13-1. You had your freaking governor writing letters about how they stole a playoff spot from your team because you were so good. You deserve the number 4 seed. Let me break some news for those people and those listeners that we have. Florida F, FSU is currently 1-9 in the season. Points per game is 13 points per game, and they're allowing almost 30 points a game. So my question is once again, what the F happened, Florida? Where is your dynamic team that you were clamoring about being a dominant team across the board that you just deserve to be handed a playoff spot? This is
Yeah.
why sometimes you have to trust the smart people in the room, and obviously the smart people in the room made the right decision last year, and you
Yeah.
just reinforced it this year. So
Yeah. And yeah.
congratulations, MSU. You made everybody else look so much smarter.
To add insult to injury, their 4-star recruit quarterback for next year, Trammell Jones, just decommitted from Florida State, so he's going to
That
visit
as
Florida
he
instead.
should. Yeah, that is how it should be. And I'm pausing the music right now because I want to play a clip to do Manny's number 1 fix of six.
9 times wider than the Earth and 333,000 times heavier than the Earth. Shut up about the sun!
That's right. Shut up about the sun, said Jerry Jones. God, I swear to you, this is the last time I talk about the Cowboys this year until they do something better than what they have been putting on the field. But Jerry Jones having a temper tantrum because they asked him, "What do you want to do about the sun blinding your players?" And his response was, "Well, what do you want me to do? Tear down the effing building, rebuild a new stadium? No, Jerry. We want you to make smart decisions in life. We want you to make grown-up decisions in life, including closing the freaking blinds whenever your freaking team is playing there so that they actually have a fighting chance." Now, I'm not putting this all on the freaking Sun, so I'm going to also say shut up about the Sun because the Cowboys were losing the game 36-30 whenever CeeDee Lamb wasn't able to see that pass. They were losing by a
Yeah.
lot. But at the end of the day, that goes to show how much accountability Jerry Jones just refuses to take for anything that happens with that team. And I am
Yeah.
at the point where I am wondering, JB, my question is, why are we not boycotting the outside of Jerry's world saying sell the team? Because Jerry Jones, I am so sick and tired of your immaturity and your lack of accountability. The epitome of being a grown up, being a child with grown up money is Jerry Jones. He blows money and wants to make as much money as he can, but he has the maturity level of a 5-year old. So, Jerry Jones, this is my beginning of the petition for you to sell the freaking team. JB, all yours.
JB's fix of six, number three. As much as gone wrong or right in this Saints fan's eyes for New Orleans this year, Alvin Kamara has a chance to make history this Sunday. He is one receiving touchdown away from joining Christian McCaffrey and Hall of Fame running backs Lenny Moore and Marshall Faulk as the only running backs in NFL history with 50 rushing touchdowns and 25 receiving touchdowns in his, I believe, in his first 10 seasons. So, congratulations to Kamara. I hope he gets it. I just hope that they don't win. JB's number two fix of six. To bring in a little bit of local flavor here, as most of you may know, we record this from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I am not from here. I'm from New Orleans, but this is my Louisiana connection. Bella Hines, the top female basketball player from the state of New Mexico, is committed to LSU for next season. She has just set an NIL record for not just for the money she's going to receive from LSU, but she just signed a deal with the Jordan brand. And that's going to bring in so much money for her. I'm not even sure why she's going to even try to play in the WNBA. Just collect the money and, do something fruitful with it. Like, I don't know, buy the WNBA and sell it for parts. JB's number one fix of six, the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes have begun. He was posted about 3 or 4 days ago. He has 45 days to be signed. And because he is not a traditional free agent, because he is under the age of 25 coming from Japan, this is going to be the Shohei show all over again. This is going to be a minor league deal with a very limited signing bonus because it has to come from your international bonus pool. Now, I know everyone's saying Los Angeles Dodgers, they're the shoe in to become the Los Angeles Japanese All Star team next year. I get it. But let's not forget that your beloved, that's right, your beloved Chicago Cubs. Everybody say it. Go, Cubs, go. Go sign Roki Sasaki. Go sign him. Please, for the love of God, let's do something. Spend some freaking money on his team in a way where it's going to improve them. I'm begging you, please. Please just do it. If you do anything this season, sign the damn man. It's already history that you were second to the Angels. To the Angels. You lost out to the Angels for Shohei Ohtani. That's not even the right Los Angeles team. And he eventually ended up on the right Los Angeles team. Do not be outdone by another LA team. Please, Jed, Ricketts, please open up the pocketbook. I know there's a lot to ask, but please, I'm begging you, please do it. Do it, please. And that sums up JB and Manny's fix of six.
I love your optimism behind the Cubs. And on that, wrapping it all up with baseball, we are officially on Juan Soto watch for the offseason signing. And I can't wait to bring in my observations and takes as a certain team tries to break my heart until between now and April. So we will
Who's he
see
going
what
to?
comes from that. Don't ask me that right now, JB. Don't
Make a
ask me
prediction.
that right now.
Who's he going to?
My heart and my brain tells me he's going to stay with the Yankees. As of
Well,
right
then
now,
your
that's
brain's
what I
not
believe.
working too well. So
My
I have a feeling he's going to go to the Mets. Steve Cohen,
God,
this
no,
dude craps out money. He's gonna
no.
throw so much money at Juan Soto. Juan Soto's like, all right, sounds good to me.
To wrap up this episode, nothing could piss me off the equivalent amounts between the two other teams that are in the sweepstakes, the Mets and the Dodgers, being the two teams that are in the running to sign Juan Soto. That is just I don't even know what to call that, but it is a great way to end this episode. JB,
Yeah.
do you enjoy your drink today?
I did. I was drinking this Bank Street bourbon. So
Nice.
100 proof. Found it at Total Wine.
Nice.
Figured I'd give it a try. Uh, it's very delicious. Does not go
Good.
down smooth, which I like. And it reminds me of why I'm drinking. So
There you
yes,
go. Always a good
it's
sign.
supposed to go down harsh because there are realities of life that are pretty harsh. Manny, what are you drinking?
JB, I decided to pull out a classic, whether it was a good decision or not. But everybody always hypes up Maker's Mark, and I had never
Oh,
actually tried Maker's Mark. So I decided to give it a run for its money, and I can't find anything necessarily too bad about it. It's 90 proof, so it's not the most bitter whiskey I've had, but it's doable. It
yeah.
There's nothing special about the flavor. It tastes like regular, run of the mill whiskey, but it's enjoyable for a neat glass or on the rocks glass. So now I can officially say I've tried Maker's Mark, and I can officially say I'm probably gonna be enjoying Maker's Mark on a more regular basis, not as a go-to, but on a regular
Yeah.
basis. I won't shy away from it, which is always a good sign.
Yeah. All right. And then for those who are wondering, during this episode, I was smoking a McAuliffe Black Label. No, it's good. I've never had a McAuliffe ever until last week or 2 weeks ago. And this Black Label is probably my favorite one. So it's got a little bit of a kick to it. Yeah.
There you go. Good.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, everyone, thank you again for listening to us. We appreciate every single second that you take out of your day to give us your ears. Check us out on our typical platforms. JB, give them to them.
Yeah, you can listen to and watch the podcast on Spotify, Apple, and on Amazon. And you can catch us on the TikTok and on Instagram at BSB Sports 24.